Greetings from EPG Pathshala. In this module, we are going to check how to secure general purpose operating system objects. Usually, operating system consists of memory, files and other general purpose objects. To secure this file and memory, what kind of mechanisms are there in the operating system? Are they effective? What are the loopholes in each of the architecture? How can we advance and how can we have a better protection, that we will check in this module. Starting with protection in general purpose operating system, what are we going to protect? The first is protection features provided by general purpose operating system. It includes protecting memory, files and execution environment. The second is controlled access to objects, and third is user authentication. Operating system usually supports multi-programming. It supports concurrent use of a system by more than one user. Operating system designers have developed ways to protect one user's computation from inadvertent or malicious inference by another user. How does it do that? For that, operating system has following facilities: memory protection, file protection, general control of access to objects and user authentication. Memory and address protection. So, memory protection in multi-programming is preventing one program from affecting the memory of the other program. Since we said operating system provides multi-user environment, so one user may be working on in some area of the file or some area of the memory, so that should be protected from the another users. Protection can be built into hardware mechanism. For memory and address protection, the first mechanism is fixed fence. In the fixed fence mechanism, there is a hardware address limitation. It says memory is divided into two parts. From 0 to n addresses, they are used by the operating system, and n plus 1 to high, the whole address range, the rest of the address range is being used by the user program space. Fence method is easy because we have bifurcated the whole memory into two areas, one that can be used by operating system and other that can be used by the users. So, what is the observation? A fence is a method to confine users to one side of the boundary. Fence contains the predefined memory address, enabling the operating system to reside on one side and the user to stay on the other side. This is a very restrictive implementation because a predefined amount of space was always reserved for the operating system, whether the operating system needs it or not. So, because of this drawback, there comes another mechanism that is called variable fence register. What is the idea in this? So, if operating system version 1 is used, in that the address limit is 0 to n and n plus 1 to rest of the area is used by user program space. In another version of the operating system, 0 to p is used by the operating system and p plus 1 to the rest of the memory area is used by the user program. So, there is an address limit register who identifies the limit of the address space for the operating system and then for the user program. Variable fence register uses a hardware register. It is called a fence register and it contains the address of the end of the operating system. In contrast to a fixed fence, in this scheme the location of the fence could be changed. Each time a user program generated an address for data modification, the address was automatically compared with the fence address. If the address was greater than the fence address, that means the address which was called by the user is in the user area and the instruction will be executed. If it is less than the fence address, then an error condition will be raised. A fence register protects only in one direction. That means operating system can be protected from a single user, but fence cannot protect one user from another user, because in this mechanism we have not bifurcated the area to be used by the different users. Then comes the relocation. The concept of relocation, it is a process of taking program written as if it begin at address 0. When we write a program, we assume that it starts with a 0, but when we want to execute, it is changed to the addresses which reflect the actual address. Because program is going to be loaded into the memory, which area of the memory it is going to be loaded is decided at the time of execution. So, in many instances, this effort merely entails adding a constant relocation factor to each address of the program. So, every time you want your program to be kept in the memory, it has to be added through the relocation address. That is, the relocation factor is the starting address of the memory assigned for the program. It says if the memory to be used is memory address 100, then if your program had a location 0, 1, 2, 3, it has to be recomputed from 100, 101, 102 and 103 and so on till the program ends. The fence register can be a hardware relocation device. The contents of the fence register are added to each program address. This action both relocates the address and guarantees that no one can access a location lower than the fence address. Fence registers provided a lower bound but not the upper one. The upper bound can be useful in knowing how much space is allotted and in checking for the overflows in forbidden areas. In the previous modules, we have already talked about the overflow problem. If there is overflow in the user area, it may penetrate into the system area and system can behave in an unpredictable way. Memory and address protection, for that then one more mechanism is introduced, that is called base and bound register. So, from the figure itself you can visualize that 0 to n addresses are used for operating system. So, there is a base register which says n plus 1, that means the user area starts from n plus 1. If the user A has an area of n plus 1 to p, there is a bound register which says p, that means user A has base n plus 1 and it is bounded up to p. From p plus 1 to q, user B's space, from q plus 1 to infinite till the memory lasts, user C. Memory is not infinite, it is a finite, but means till the memory ends. So, we introduced one more register called bound register. It is an upper address limit in the same way that a base or fence register is a lower address limit. So, each program address is forced to be above the base address because the contents of the base registers are added to the address. Each address is also locked to ensure that it is below the bounds register. So, this technique protects a program's addresses from modification by others. When execution is changed from one user's program to another's, the operating system must change the contents of a base and bounds register so that the true addresses are reflected. This change is usually called context switch that the operating system must perform when transferring control from one user to another. A user error may occur when a subscript is out of range or it is undefined. A variable generates an address which is undefined, an address range within the user space, but it is inside the executable instructions of the user's program. That means 100 to 105 is available to user, but it is user's program code. So, a variable which generates reference between 100 and 105, it is not allowed. In this manner, a user can accidentally store data on top of instruction. What happened if it is allowed? Variable can destroy a user's program. This problem can be solved by another pair of base and bound register. It says one for the code area and another for the data area. The problem was clear. The user has defined the data, but the data is referencing an address which is of the program. So, program will be overwritten by the data. If program is corrupted, then the behavior of the program would be unpredictable. So, now the mechanism says now we will have two areas, code area and data area. Only instruction fetches instructions to be executed are relocated and checked with the first register pair, and data accesses use of two pairs of base and bound registers. Check the figure, it says user A has a program space, user B has a data space, user has a data space. So, data space and program space need not be contiguous, it can be anywhere, but we are maintaining program base, program bounds, database and data bounds. Database says the lower limit for from where the data space starts. Data bound, it says the highest upper limit where the data space ends. So, we have bifurcated each user's area, not only each user's area, but it's a program area and the data area as well. These two features seem to call for the use of 3 or more pairs of register. You know, we had one for code, one for read only data, one for modifiable data. So, we need to use 3 or more pairs of registers. But in the practically the computer designs limit the use of registers to 2 pairs, and what we introduced is 3 or more pairs of registers. If we use each additional pair of registers, in the machine code we have to say that where the relocation pair is to be used. Every time we have to put a note that this is the data area for read only, this is the data area for modifiable data. So, we are complicating the instructions of operating system. And problem with using base and bound registers for protection or relocation is their contiguous nature. Each pair of registers confines accesses to a consecutive range of addresses. So, compiler or loader can easily rearrange a program so that all code sections are adjacent and all data sections are adjacent. But you may sometimes want to protect some data values, not all. Programmer want to take care of the certain data whose integrity need to be maintained, and they want it to be written when the program is initialized. Later on, they do not want the program to modify the data. A programmer may also want to invoke a shared subprogram from a common library. Base and bound registers create an all or nothing situation for sharing. Either the whole block is shared or nothing is shared. Even if there was a third set of registers for shared data, all data would need to be located together. For example, a procedure could not effectively share data items A, B, C with one module, A, C, D with a second module, and A, B, D with a third module. The only way to accomplish the kind of sharing a procedure wants to do is to move each appropriate set of data values to some contiguous space. It says that if you want to share A, B, C area with one module, then A, B, C should be contiguous and it should be kept. A, C, D with second, then they should be grouped together and kept. So, unnecessarily repeating the modules A and C, because this base and bound registers needs the modules to be contiguous. This solution would not be acceptable if the data items are large records, arrays or structures, because repeating the items would unnecessarily occupy the memory. So, alternative is a tagged architecture in which every word of a machine memory has one or more extra bits to identify the access rights. These access bits can be set only by privileged instruction. The bits are tested every time an instruction accesses that location. So, check the figure. What you can see is one memory location may be protected as execute only, whereas another is protected as read only, another as a write only. So, you can see tag as R, that says read only, tag RW read write, tag X as execute. Now, a tagged architecture needs to require fundamental changes to substantially all of the operating system code. It is prohibitively expensive, but since the prices of memory has fallen down, the implementation of tagged architecture has become feasible. The observation is two adjacent locations can have different access rights in case of tagged architectures with a few extra tag bits, different classes of data, numeric, character, address or pointer and undefined can be separated. Data fields can be protected for privileged operating system access only. Then comes the concept of memory and address protection. Segmentation. You can see in the figure a program having a logical arrangement. It has 4 segments: main, segment A, sub and data segment. Two concepts: a program has a logical part and the program is placed in the operating system, that is called physical placement. So, logically main, segment A, sub, data segment, they are maintaining their logical order in that way. But when storing in a physical memory, it is not necessary they need to be stored in a contiguous way. Physically they can be located in any part of the operating system segments. So, logical arrangement of the program is shown on the left side of the figure and right side shows the physical placements of the program execution. Segmentation involves the simple notion of dividing a program into separate pieces. Each piece has a logical unity exhibiting a relationship among all of its code or data values. A segment may be the code of a single procedure, the data of an array or the collection of all local data values used by a particular module. Segmentation was an alternative for the unbounded number of base and bound registers. Each segment has a unique name. A code or data item within a segment is addressed by a pair name and offset. Name is a name of the segment containing the data item. Offset is its location within the segment. So, in case of segmentation, an operating system needs to maintain a table having a name and the offset. When a program generates an address of the form name and offset, the operating system looks for its name in the segment directory and determines where it actually begins in the memory. To that address, the operating system adds offset, giving the true memory address of the code or the data item. For efficiency, there is usually one operating system segment address table for each process in execution. If two processes wants to share the access to a single segment, they would have the same segment name and address in their segment table. User's program does not know what true memory address it uses. Name and offset pair is usually what a program needs to have an access. So, program's actual address is hidden. That has additional advantages. The operating system can place any segment at any location or move a segment from one location to another location, because it's the operating system's responsibility to translate all address references by a segment address table. A segment can be removed from main memory and stored in the auxiliary memory if it is not being used. Every address reference passes through the operating system. So, operating system can check for the protection as well. Because all accesses are passing through the operating system, a process can access a segment only if that segment appears in the process's segment translation table. If a program A might have an access to the segment blue and green of user X but not to the other segments of that user, then this can be checked by the operating system. The segmentation process uses hardware and software both. It uses both the operating system and hardware to check that protection on each access to the segment. A segment might be execute only, or third may be a writable data. What are the benefits of the segmentation? Each address referenced is checked for the protection. Many different classes of data items can be assigned different levels of protections. Two or more users can share the same segment. there is no need to repeatedly store the segments with a different access rights. A user cannot generate an address or access to an unpermitted segment. But what are the disadvantages when we are using the segmentation? One difficulty is segment size. Each segment has a particular size. A program can generate a reference to a valid segment name but with an offset beyond the end of the segment. For example, if we say A, the segment name, and we are referencing to the location 9999, it looks perfectly valid. But segment A is of only 200 bytes. So referring to 9999 location is not permitted. But since there may be a security hole and referencer is allowed an access to a memory location beyond the end of the segment. One protection difficulty inherent to the segmentation is segment size. We have seen that if person accesses a location beyond the segment size, he may be allowed access if there is a security hole. Another problem with a segmentation is a segment might contain a dynamic data structure such as stack. So, secure implementation of segmentation requires checking a generated address to verify that it is not beyond the current end of the segment referenced. So, this checking also is at the extra cost, extra expenses in terms of time and resources. Segmentation system must perform this check before allowing the access. We have seen that the efficient implementation of segmentations present two problems. Segment names are inconvenient to encode in instructions and the operating system's lookup of name in the table can be slow. Because if we have many segments and every time when we are referring the segment, operating system has to check the segment table to identify where in physical memory this segment is stored. So, operating system has to spend some time in looking up. To overcome these difficulties, segment names are often converted to numbers by the compilers. This scheme has an implementation difficulty if the two procedures need to share the same segment because assigned segment numbers of data accessed by that segment must be the same. The third problem is segment cause the fragmentation of main memory because they are of varying size. Unused fragments of the space can lead to poor memory utilization. Solution is periodically compact the memory. Compacting and updating also takes time. So, for that we come across to the paging. Logically, a program is divided into pages. There is a page translation table. So, if we have a program consisting of 7 pages, we have a page translation table saying that 0th page is at which address, 1st page is at which address. In our diagram, we can see 0th page is at address B. So, in the physical memory, it has to locate at B if a person wants to access to page number 0. So, for example, there is an instruction saying fetch 437 means access the page number 4 and from starting of the page 4 fetch the data at the location 37. So, fetch 437, what it has to do? It has to go to the page translation table, identify where page number 4 is stored in the memory at C location, identify location for the 4th page and 37th offset. Paging we introduce as an alternative to the segmentation. The program is divided into equal size pieces, they are called pages. Memory is divided into equal size units called page frames. Usually page size is chosen as between 512 and 4096 bytes. Each address in a paging scheme is a two-part object, time consisting of page and offset. So, first page number is accessed from the page translation table to which physical location it is, and offset is added to that location to actually find out the data at that location. The binary form of a page and offset address is designed so that the offset value fills a range of bits in the address. Therefore, an offset beyond the end of a particular page results in a carry into the page portion of the address which changes the address. For example, our page number is designed to have only 2 bits. It can go up from 0001, 10 to 11. So offset values are also in that range, so that if it goes from 0 to 1, 1 to 3, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. So offset is always between this range as well. To further see how it works, suppose a page size is of 1024 bytes. 1024 makes 2 raised to 10. So 10 bits are allocated for the offset portion of the each address. So a program cannot generate an offset value larger than 1023 bits, 1023 if we are using 10 bits. So moving to the next location after X1023 causes a carry into the page portion. If carry is generated, that says you are moving to the next page. Memory and address protection combine paging with segmentation. To be effective, we can use combination of paging and segmentation. Logically, the program is divided into segments. The segments are stored in the pages, page tables. So for example, logical program is divided into main, segment A, sub and data segment, and if there is an instruction called fetch data segment to 20. So first segment translation table is checked to find out in which page table this segment is stored. So for the data segment, the page table is found where pages 0 and 1 are stored. They are stored at the address 1 and B. Then we need to, from the segment, we want to find out the offset 20. So once we have identified on which pages the segments are stored, and we need to know page is of what size. If page is of 512 bit size, then offset 20 is lying in the first page, that is page number 0. So get the address of that page, actual physical address of the page, that if you check the page translation table, page 0 is residing at the address L. So L is the starting address of the page and you want to reach to the offset 20, so add 20 to get the actual data requested through the request. How paging offers implementation efficiency while segmentation offers logical protection. Since each approach has drawbacks as well as desirable features, they can be combined. Combined paging and segmentation is used in IBM 390 family of the mainframe systems. Similarly, in Multics operating system applied paging on top of segmentation. The programmer could divide a program into logical segment. Each segment was then broken into fixed size pages. In Multics, the segment name portion of an address was 18-bit number with a 16-bit address. The addresses were then broken into 1024 bytes pages. The translation process is same as we have seen in the figure previously. The additional layer of translation for each address can be provided if the logical unity of a segment and it permitted the differentiated protection for the segments. Additional hardware improved the efficiency of the implementation. To summarize this module, we started discussion with a fixed fence register, but we saw the difficulty in the fence register, so we introduced the base and bound register. Then we introduced base and bound register for different users with different program area and data area, but it unnecessarily complicated the working of the operating system. So then we talked about segmentation. Segmentation had its own disadvantage. The prime was the fragmentation in segmentation. So we went ahead with paging, how the pages are assigned and page translation table is maintained. Then we said the paging and segmentation can be combined to have an effective implementation, and then we checked about Multics operating system, how the combined approach works. Thank you.